Welcome to Simply Scrapping. Today I'm going to walk you through how to make this layout using the Full of Wonder collection from Creative Memories. So I have already pieced it together, but it's not adhered yet. So we're going to break down the pieces that I use so that you can create your own using this sketch. So I had about 10 photos I wanted to fit on this page. And one of my favorite things to do to get more photos on the page is print them as 4x3. I use an app called Project Life on my phone. It allows me to pull in two 4x6s onto one 4x6 print, re-download it to my phone, and then I can just send it to my local printer. I printed these photos from Walmart. I'm pretty happy with the quality of their 1-hour photo pickup right now. It is a matte finish. They're 14 cents. I'm pretty happy with it. So that's where I printed my photos for today's layout. So I knew to get that many photos on the page, I would have to use 4x3 peekaboo pockets. I had some in my stash, but I'm pretty excited that today Creative Memories brought back the 4x3 peekaboo pocket. So I'll be using 3 of these on the layout. You get 10 in each pack. You get 5 vertical orientation and 5 horizontal orientation. So I already have my photos ready to go in the peekaboos. These are the 4x3. I'm using the orientation that will allow it to flip to the side. 2 of these have extra photos in them, as you can see, and then one of them on the back of it, I used a 4x3 journaling box to add a little bit more detail about the night. Sometimes I leave my journaling on top, sometimes I hide it underneath the photo. So I have these ready to go, and they're going to lay here on the side. So what is going underneath? So I chose 4x3 photos, like I said, and so I have these matted on paper with a 3/8 of an inch border. So for a 4x3, I cut my paper at 3 3/8 and 4 3/8. Sometimes we do like a little 1/8 of an inch border on each side, so that would be a quarter extra to cut. Sometimes we have a 1/4 inch on each side, an extra 1/2 inch. I feel like using the 3/8 of an inch gives me enough of a border that I like. It's not too little, it's not too much. So these 3 photos will go down the side. I want you to get a glimpse too of this base paper underneath here. It's just absolutely lovely. This Full of Wonder collection is gorgeous. So there's not much I need to add to the page except my photos. And I didn't want to cover too much of the paper because I really want the design of it to come through. So that's why I chose to do 4x3. And then my accent, my focus photo, the one I'm really love is this one of me and my daughter who went with me. So this was a Sarah McLachlan concert we went to Sunday night. 25 years ago, I saw Sarah McLachlan for the first time at the 1999 Lilith Fair in Cincinnati, Ohio. And I fell in love with her. I listened to her CDs repeatedly through some early years there. And I was pretty excited to see that she was going on tour. So I bought tickets for my girls. Well, Campbell was able to attend along with one of my good friends. So I printed this photo. Also, it is actually a 4x5.3. So also at Walmart, I can print the true to size. Cell phone photos are not really 4x6. And so when you print them as 4x6, you're usually losing a little bit of the side as it stretches the photo a little bit longer. If you're able to print as 4x5.3, you can get the original ratio of the photo. So I did do a double matte on this to save paper. Because this paper is so pretty, I did cut out the inside of both mats. So this is a Stardust White behind it, and this is a print from the Full of Wonder collection also. So I cut out the inside, so I have those to use for other projects. What amazes me is like once you get used to printing some smaller photos, look how big this one looks. Can you imagine if I printed all of these as 4x6? It just is not, I feel like it's just not necessary. I can see the photos, I get the effect of the layout, and then my one large one really focuses on my favorite photo from the night. And then I knew I wanted to cluster these with some embellishments at the top and the bottom. And then I had one other photo, it's just a little one I trimmed down, kind of the billboard for the event. And then I wanted to have a little bit of a journal box. So I flipped through all the journaling boxes that came in the variety mats, and they were just really all too big. I like smaller journaling, and so I thought, I was looking through, and this is one of the embellishments that comes in the embellishment pack, and I was thinking, I wish that this was plain so I could journal on it. I could have flipped it over and journal on the back, but I do like the front too. So then I thought, you know what, I could just recreate this myself. So I grabbed some cardstock and I grabbed one of my tearing tools and I tore it to create this little journal box there. So I have the other half available. So I'll put this in with my embellishments. So next time I use this collection, it will be there and ready. But I wanted to show you how that works. So I have two pieces of paper here to demonstrate on. One is a little bit thinner, one is a little bit thicker of a cardstock. On most tearing tools, you have two choices. You have the smaller and the larger. Because my paper is so small, I use the smaller design so I could see a little bit more of it. It's pretty easy to tear. You just have to have kind of a flat surface and a firm pull, and then you kind of just go down the tear. The faster you go, the less likely you are to get as much design. You might get one that's a little bit less. If you're slower, and sometimes if you have a thicker card stick, if you go slower against the tear, you can go more along a design if you really are trying to keep that wave. And then you do sometimes see a little bit from where you bent it. You can rub it out a little bit, but it just adds to that vintage flair, I feel out. And then, of course, you have the other side of whatever you tore. In this one, you can see how this cardstock was a little bit thicker. You can see some of the core in it, a little bit more of a rustic look. So that is how I tore my journaling box. And again, I could just keep these in with my embellishments pack, and then I'll have them for use for another layout. We've had quite a few tearing tools over the years. Any of them would work fine for this. Just go dig out whatever you have. This is the double wave tearing tool, one of the more recent ones, but it's still been a while ago. And then I thought I wanted to pull in something to the layout that had to do with music. And so I used a very old Boilermaker cartridge. It's actually from Our Memories for Life, which is a company that no longer exists. It looks like this. Creative Memories also has a music notes, but it is a knockout style. So the tops were straight on the top and the bottom when you cut it. And then we do have the music note and staff border punch, which is larger, and I do actually have that one in stock, but it's a larger design, and I'm pretty full of photos here, so I need something a little bit smaller, and so I use this one. And while this is not one I have available, I do like to show how to use some of the old cartridges that we have. So I'm going to put this border here along the bottom at about an inch above. So I'm going to use some repositional tape. Off camera a little bit with my tape. I'm going to adhere this about 1 inch from the bottom. And I punched this out of black shimmer cardstock. So that shimmer adds a little bit more of a dramatic feel to my layout. I'm going to center my paper on my 13 by 13 cutting mat. And now I'm going to go up the side. I want to adhere these photos. I'm going to try to keep this line straight. And I'm going to go about 1/2 inch off the side. So I have my T ruler. Megan and I have linked this T ruler before. I'll put the link in the blog post. It's one of our favorite tools off Amazon. They're pretty cheap. I have to have a couple of them because inevitably I lose one in my scrap space. But I'm going to use it just to kind of give myself that straight edge up the side. So I'll go ahead and start the bottom. If you're good at eyeballing it, you don't have to use a T ruler. If you feel like sometimes you have a little bit of a wandering eye, it could be helpful to keep things straight. Just looking a little bit at my spacing before I adhere the bottom to make sure I know where I want to be lined up at. This picture is a little bit smaller than this one, so I'm not really worried about, I don't think I'm worried about matching the top or the bottom. I'm just going to maintain this line up the middle with my spacing. I will maybe overlap it just slightly with my journaling box. I might tuck just the edge a little bit, or I could butt it up against it too. I made sure the journaling box was just a little bit shorter than my picture. And then on my top photo, and then I can create my cluster up here. So I know that I want this happy everything to overlap this white space on the photo. And then I was playing around with what else I have. I might need to pull this down a little bit actually to have room for my butterfly. I think I went a little bit high than I originally had. Which even though I used regular tape, it pulls up pretty easily if you do need to reposition. Give me a little bit more space up there. And then I wanted to tuck in my feathers and my heart. And then I have the colorful butterfly, and then I have these music notes that popped out of the border here at the bottom. I think sometimes the challenge is like you lay things out and then you're trying to make sure you adhere it as you envision to get them tucked. So sometimes I adhere the tucked things first. You want to have the layered look, but you also want to have the tucked look. If these music notes, I think I'll be okay. But if they are a little challenging to adhere tiny small things, you can always grab our precision point, which is a glue dot pen. I have my butterflies up the side. I love these embellishments. I love the laser, black laser. I feel like the black really pops against this layout. I could use other colors of purple, but I feel like the black kind of makes a little bit of a dramatic look. So that completes my layout. Once I slide it into my album, the peekaboo pockets will go on top. As you can see, the glare from the light makes it hard to see, but they will flap open this way on the layout. Actually, this one goes at the top. And then this one's in the middle. I journaled about our food and kind of what we did when we got there. And then the bottom down here. So that's how I got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 photos on my one-page layout. So I hope you enjoy this sketch and I look forward to seeing what you create also. Thanks for joining me for Simply Scrappy.